The RBA raising interest rates for the fourth time in as many months.
It will make life harder for a lot of Australians who are already dealing with the skyrocketing costs of living.
The half percentage hike taking the cash rate to a 6-year high of 1.85%. That means a mortgage holder with a $500,000 loan will face a monthly increase of more than $140. Today, the Treasurer putting pressure on the big banks, always quick to pass on hikes, but not so much with higher returns for savers.
There needs to be some positives out of this, and for savers, they need and deserve higher interest rates on their savings.
Pressure also piling on the RBA board and Governor Philip Lowe.
Warren Hogan has reportedly called for the RBA Governor
Philip Lowe to resign given his incorrect forecast.
Interest rates were not expected to rise until 2024.
I don't think this is a time to take pot shots at Phil Lowe.
The PM backing Lowe in.
The RBA do have our support. They're an independent authority.
While facing mounting pressure himself to extend the temporary cut to the fuel excise.
Will your government compound the pressure on household budgets by not extending the fuel excise relief? Why is Labor making a bad situation worse?
The fuel excise relief introduced by the Morrison government is set to expire at the end of September, and the new government says its hands are tied.
Even to extend it by 6 months would cost something like $3 billion. We've inherited a budget which is absolutely heaving with $1 trillion in Liberal Party debt.
So as the hits keep coming for Aussie households, when will we see inflation come under control?
Well, Economist Shane Wright joins us now to talk more about this. Shane, previous hikes haven't managed to curb inflation. Do you think this one can?
Look, they're on their way, the Reserve Bank, to getting to a point where they think inflation will start to slow. There's a fair bit of inflationary pressure still building. And so keeping the cash rate, say at 0.1 where it was in April, is just untenable. They have to do something. And at the end of the day, this is the Reserve Bank's only way, a great big interest rate lever that's got Phil Lowe pulling on it like crazy.
Yeah, but is it appropriate in this situation? Like, what I don't get, maybe you can explain this to me. How does increasing interest rates on houses, for example, make iceberg lettuce cheaper?
Well, first thing, people aren't buying the $11 iceberg lettuces. They actually substitute, is the term the economists use. They've gone and bought other stuff. And this is the thing. Yeah, people are complaining about that, and there's about a third of the population that has a mortgage. But Australians have been on a spending binge since before COVID. So the amount that we're spending on clothes has gone up 40% since March 2020. So that's a lot of extra track pants and thongs that people put away to get through working from home. Spending on food, like through supermarkets, a bit of inflation in there, but that's increased by 14% in 2 years. It normally grows in line with the population, which makes a bit of sense. Like the price of used cars has gone up 65% in 2 years, and they should not be going up, but they have. And that's because people have money and they're spending it. And they're able to spend it, and that's pushing up demand on a supply chain that's really taken a battering, particularly out of China. And the floods haven't helped that by those expensive iceberg lettuces.
Shane, you sound a little bit blame the victim, like people are buying new clothes.
It's your fault. It is your fault, Kate, obviously.
You wanted to buy a second-hand car, fancy Sally.
Can we talk about the fuel excise now? The government says they won't extend the fuel excise relief because it's too expensive. Are they making the right call there?
Well, right at the moment, the average price of petrol is back where it was when the full impact of the fuel excise cut came into play. So the price of global oil has actually come down. It's lower than it was when a Morrison government decided to cut it. If you can tell me where oil will be in 8 weeks' time or 10 weeks' time when the fuel excise cut comes off, good luck.
It'll be in my second-hand car, Shane.
Well, that's
where
right.
It'll be.
This is the problem. We've got into this situation where people think interest rates going up, it's a terrible thing. There's a third of the population has a mortgage. 2/3 of people save money. They have been absolutely screwed for the last 2 years by really low interest rates. So people who've got money are actually going, if the banks play ball, will start passing that on, and they will actually earn money. So if you're the Reserve Bank, do you look after the 2/3 of the population who've been rogered for 2 years, or do you protect the 1/3 of the people who've got into the housing market with the lowest interest rates since Adam was playing centre half forward for Jerusalem. That's the choice you have to make.
It's the first non-Collingwood football reference I think you've ever given, Shane. Thank you. It's very, very good of you.
It won't last. Don't worry about it, Walid. It won't last.
They were the Jerusalem Magpies, though. I should point that out.
Well, Shane, Sally and a whole bunch of people in their trackies are feeling very shamed by you tonight, but we do appreciate your time.
Look, I'm glad I've achieved something.